What's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Analysis, a sort of weekly podcast which is associated with our pamphlet publishing organisation. Sorry for taking a week off. We were away and then I was ill, but I've got an episode here which I've been sort of really looking forward to, an interview that I've been really looking forward to putting out with a very special person. So before I do that, I just want to mention what's going on with the pamphlets. We've sort of improved a little bit our website and our kind of system. So if you want to go to everydayanalysis.co.uk, you can see we're now doing like a fiction strand and a non-fiction strand. We've got another event in London on the 23rd of October. Just let us know through the website or however you normally contact me if you want to attend the event in London. We're going to have a talk from Ted Rees about his pamphlet Terminal Decline, which is coming out this week. And there's one I really want to mention, which is, you can see here, very, very, very happy to have this really exciting pamphlet by Benjamin Studebaker. People probably know him from What's Left or from The Lack, his podcasts, but also he's got two new books, one with Edinburgh University Press and one with I think Palgrave, and he's one of the sort of most interesting and important sort of voices in political theory, I'd say, right now. And he's written this extremely interesting 4 essays on what it means to be a revolutionary subject today. Some of them talk about the American subject, some of them talk about Russia, Ukraine, and the question of subjectivity and revolution from a Marxist perspective. It's going to be my favorite so far, I think. So check out the link in the description below. Really happy to have a contribution from Benjamin. We'll get him on the podcast as well. So on to today's one. The interview I filmed some time ago, it was actually last time I was in Ljubljana, so sort of in the last year. So as you'll see, I look different. And it's with a really amazing friend of mine, Elena Pečarič. And the reason I sort of held on to it and didn't put it out is because her new book is out, which is here. With 1968 Press, and it's called Freedom to Breathe. And I mean, Elena is an astonishing person. She's sort of extremely disabled and has lived her life extremely disabled. She was a student of Mladen Dolar's at the University of Ljubljana. She's very interested in psychoanalysis, other kinds of critical theory as well. And she has achieved so much in her life. She spent sort of 15 years campaigning for a change in the assisted living laws, which mean that Slovenia is now one of the best places to be disabled in terms of rights to having a normal life with full-time assisted living care, which took her and her friends sort of 15 years to campaign for. She's the leader of various organizations. She even ran for president of Slovenia, very successfully, although she wasn't elected, and has done an enormous amount for sort of disability rights. But on top of that, she's a theorist and a psychoanalytic and a Marxist theorist who's interested in what it means and how to look at society from the disabled perspective and see the sort of structural problems and material problems with contemporary society, and also to think philosophically and theoretically about what it means to be able and especially able to breathe. And her book is a kind of theory of breathing, because all of her disabilities are kind of based around breathing and lung issues, as you'll sort of hear in this interview. So Elena's speech is quieter. I've done my best to sort of adjust the sound, and it's just a short interview of around 20 minutes, which I did with Elena in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, not so long ago, where we talk about her ideas, her past, her history, and this amazing book, Freedom to Breathe, which I really recommend. And I'm also very pleased and proud, I guess, to bring what I think is a really important voice from this kind of very famous Slovene school of philosophy and thinking that we haven't yet had in English, and who isn't yet sort of a part of that. And having this book out in English and being able to do that for Elena, who's also a great friend, has been really interesting and important. So I really hope you enjoy listening to her and find her as interesting as I do. And thanks so much for tuning in. All right, so great. Thanks for doing this, Elena. And let's start with talking about you a bit, really. I mean, so tell us about what you see as the connection between theory and politics, and I guess disability activism, because on the one hand you've been enormously important in Slovenia for fighting for rights for disabled people and assisted living and so on, but on the other hand, you're a philosophy student who's very interested in theory and philosophy and politics, and you've even run for president of Slovenia. So you've got these kind of three things really, like your disability activism, philosophy, and politics. And just like tell us like how you came to these things and how they go together.
To my study and to my experience, and I've always want to be politically active, so it came natural to do all the things together. And I also I wrote about psychoanalysis a lot. I studied analysis, also philosophy, and then through my experience, because I lived in an institution when I was young for 12 years, so I became like a rebellion.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is part of the story,
Yeah.
right? Like you were living in an institution for disabled people, and you and some friends decided that you needed to fight against this.
To come out, to live independently like everyone else can do. But so we manage all our theory and practice and put it together.
Yeah. So tell us about what you run. I mean, you run this. I mean, tell me what you've told me before, really, about the whole campaign for assisted living. Like, how long were you? Wasn't that when you started when you were a master's student? And
yeah, I was 18 years old when we came out of the institution and began to study, and it was very big problem to manage transport and personal assistance. It was no any personal assistance, so we had to invent all.
So you were sort of
system.
helping each other out for a long time. Isn't
Yeah.
that right? That for a long time
Yeah.
here in Slovenia, you were just basically helping each other out, like disabled people helping
Yeah.
each other rather than having any
Yeah.
support from. But then you totally changed that.
Yeah, we got example for the independent living moving, which was made in Berkeley in 60 years. Also, Adolf Hitler is one of these leaders, so we invite him, and we got ideas from this movement, and we also have to put in practice all the other.
And how long did it take before? Because there's been quite a historic change here. Like in Slovenia today, people have a right to a personal assistant or whatever you call those.
Yeah.
Right, but that's really because of
To
you and
independent
your
living.
independent living.
Yeah.
And you are over what? How long did it take for you to get this
40
legislation? How long?
40 years.
14?
40.
40?
40. 3. 4. 40.
30 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I thought you were 30 years old. Right, okay, and that's... And
I'm quite old now. Yeah.
you look very young.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I guess the question was that, do you see like the philosophy and politics as being very much connected to...
Yeah.
Yeah, and in what ways is that the case? Because, I mean, in some parts of the world, these things are almost treated separately, right? So...
You didn't study Foucault?
I've studied some Foucault. Go on, you go ahead. You studied Foucault.
Also.
So what do you think that like political? What's the relationship between the sort of rights for disabled people and political conditions and so on?
You have to be activist to realize how you can change the things without, and you have to be also political, to be present, to put your needs on the agenda, political agenda. So obviously you have to be in politics.
So for you, like,
Politics is everything. It's not just to be in the party or to be, for me.
So like it's like the spirit of activism was what enables you to kind of think, well, if we want to change here, we have to change things sort of at the big structural political level. No, it's extremely amazing what you've obviously been able to do and so on. So let's go to the book a little bit. I mean, because in some ways the book you've written is a kind of history of your own experiences and so on, but in another way it's also very much a sort of philosophy theoretical book. You've got lots of quotes from like Goethe, Baudrillard, these kind of critical theory or philosophy authors. So what do those what does philosophy give you that can help you in your
To have open mind, to be interested in everything what happens around me. Yeah.
And this is what your book does so brilliantly, is use your kind of breathing, your breathing, whatever you call this disability or whatever, to explore what it means to be a person, and philosophically and so on, what does breathing mean, and so in a sense it is a very philosophical book, right, about something people don't think about too much.
I like to think when it's hard in your life. You have to be also very critical and to try to understand what's happening.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that's great is that you've had this, I mean, because one of the things that I find incredible about Ljubljana in particular is that, this Slovene school of thinking, it's really transformative and it's really influences all of society, right? And you studied with Mladen Dolar, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He was.
What was that
my
like?
teacher.
He was your tutor?
Yeah.
What was that like, studying with him?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, quite hard. Not hard.
Definitely hard.
I don't find the right word.
But I mean, do you still now? Obviously, Mladen's written a new preface for your book and so on.
I'm very proud to be his student.
Yeah.
So,
did you learn a lot from him?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And how about what bits of his teaching were important? Like, did you become interested in psychoanalysis through Mladen?
No, this I was before.
You were interested in psychoanalysis first before.
First step.
Right. So tell us what is your interest in psychoanalysis, and how did psychoanalysis help you to think and be you, kind of thing?
I don't know. I just became to read Freud at the beginning, and then I was quite very impressed in what he wrote. Also then I read other authors, also Lacan, and then I really became a fan of style. I find this way of thinking very productive. So yeah.
Very productive. Yeah, and does when you think about your life, compared to other people's lives, does psychoanalysis help to think about life and what life is and how it's different for you?
Can you repeat this?
I suppose what I mean is does thinking with psychoanalysis help you to
Understand
understand
not just myself,
Yeah.
but also all the others. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that you were actually reading psychoanalysis before you
Yeah.
studied with
Uh,
Nathan and
I
so on.
became a fan because I had also before good teacher who really was really good in psychoanalysis. So I began to read really even at 17 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when let's go because I'd say in some ways your book is psychoanalytic, even it's not about psychoanalysis, but
No.
when you wrote this book, tell us what made you write it, when did you start, and what happened in your life when you thought, okay, I'm going to write this book and so on.
Maybe this was I wrote a book after the shock,
After the
shock, or when I got tracheotomia.
Yeah, this is when you were extremely ill, right? Yeah. Yeah. But then you recovered from
So-
that.
I didn't know if I would live. So in this case, I can think a lot, maybe
Yeah.
too much.
Right. So when you
Yeah.
had this experience of shock of thinking you might not live, you started to think more philosophically about everything and
And the
And so
writing
on.
that it was like liberatory freedom to
yeah.
also to have a possibility to write down what is happening.
Yeah, right. You still had
Yeah.
the chance to write a book, whereas you might
Uh-huh.
not have had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, in a way, this is a psychoanalysis question, but when you wrote the book, did you find anything that you didn't expect? Did you reveal things about yourself to yourself that, was there
Oh,
things that
it's
surprised
always-
you?
It's always when you write something, it's always like this. But it's all right.
So like the unconscious comes out a bit or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And was there anything in particular in this book? I think people would like to hear what's in the book. What was something that surprised you? What did you learn about yourself by writing this book?
No, maybe I became more self-confident.
More confident? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should be. It's an amazing book.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, no, it's extremely interesting, obviously, to think about these things. Let's talk a bit more about the politics stuff. Because you actually did run for president of Slovenia. I think 2010, 2007.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, you said that you have to be political if you want to change things for yourself and for others and so on. So what was this like? What was it like running for president of Slovenia? And what made you do that?
Quite fun.
Quite fun.
Yeah.
And why did you do it?
Why not? I said, why not?
Right.
Yeah, so it was quite easy to decide.
Yeah. And do you think it's helped because one of the things that you've got here is, everybody knows who you are and so on. It's those things, they just boosted people's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So with
Obviously, you see that I didn't win, but
you didn't win this time, not yet. But you know, it obviously has an impact on. You know, in Europe as well, it was quite impactful, I suppose.
I don't know.
I think people were aware of it, you know, but I mean, I was too young then. So you know, with this book, like, you know, what do you want the book to do? What do you hope the book will do?
I don't have any special expectation. I'm proud
Yeah.
to publish this book in English language. So for me, I made my point. So
Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's really a kind of, you know, like I said, it's partly your story, but it's also partly a sort of a philosophy of breathing, really. So it's really, you know, it could, I think, get people to think differently about what breathing is and the right to breathe. And
it's the right time because it was this COVID situation.
Right. Which kind of makes people aware of, you know, lots of people have had. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Like, obviously, people are very aware of lung and breathing related illnesses on a small scale, but maybe it's also the right time for people to think about this kind of thing on a big scale. You know, I mean, what's interesting for me is that, like, we're always breathing, but we never think about breathing, right? So in a way, this is a kind of psychoanalysis thing to sort of take something that you don't usually, you disavow, let's say, you know, you usually think, well, I know I rely on oxygen for my life, but I'll continue living as if I had no idea about that and never think about that, right? Whereas your book, I think it really asks people to, like, think about something about themselves that they never think about doing.
What is obviously automatic and spontaneous.
So for you, was it quite, I mean, obviously your life has been, you've obviously been something that's automatic and spontaneous for everyone else. For you has always been something very conscious. Would that be right?
Yeah.
And so maybe people can learn a lot from you about how some parts of their body are not.
I just want to send a message that you can live also with a breathing machine, normal life, and
yeah. And I think people, I mean, that is a good message. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, we're obviously friends, but, like, we, you know, it is a normal life, you know, you can do all of the things that one would do, you know, with another friend. Like, it's
I also smoke, so.
I know you smoke and drink, so we'll stop this interview soon, and you can have a cigarette and some wine, right? But yeah, no, but this is also, I think, quite ideologically important because, you know, people would assume, those pleasures, those enjoyments are not available to somebody in your situation, but it's actually not the case at all, and you really sort of show how it's not the case, which is great and more fun. And in the book, you wrote a little bit about this kind of thing.
Quite very in details.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's time we had some wine or something.
Okay.
But thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
And you know, we're obviously really excited to have this book out in England and so on. You know that anyway, but it's great.